The timeline that we're going to, putting everything to the side that you could think of, hype, enjoyment, entertainment, not knowing the longevity and the real, exchange behind these enjoyments, our synergy alchemy self is going towards a certain longevity. And that synergy alchemy self is you being different energies in an alchemical arrangement of your human body, in an alchemical configuration of your human body. The most serious side note is seeing what timeline are we creating for you? What timeline are we having discrepancialized in like the major options that there are that are hidden for us? So that's like the most serious thing ever, is like how there's like in an earlier video there's only really two timelines, you know, overall ascension or descension, but within those two timelines it expresses infinitely. And it's expressing infinitely because every individual is a part of infinity in a micro level expressing infinity, but it's still gauged to some extent. What the most serious thing is like not seeing the timeline option for your future. That's the most serious thing, and it's a sidestep from status too, because just because you have a certain status, the trajectory you're on, how the wind carries you, is based on how you're engaging with that wind on a hygienic level. And if you're engaging with the wind casually on a non-hygienic level, the wind is going to carry you towards a timeline collectively within your individual perception, within your individual, to whoever knows where you're going to go next life. It's going to create a particular timeline of a unique alchemy arrangement that leans towards the polarity of detriment and beneficial, and the other duality of detriment and beneficial is how, seeing like the black and white on the side of it, seeing just like the light and the shadow of it, like what are we really aware of, and what we are aware of, were we prepared to be with that awareness? Because sometimes we're not prepared to be with the awareness that we have. That's what life is. Sometimes life is like it's dripped with too much chaos. It could be overwhelming, but there's underlying factors and reasons that are leading us to the experiences that we have on a collective level. So then you could ask, like, what really is the future? Then what really is the future? It's going to be a hidden duality and hidden extreme polarities on how we could exit and transmute this bottom up level of illusion and duality, and what level of the different pockets of teamwork are going to actually like help each other to go legitimately above and beyond the real elusified detriment, rather than just talking about it and being with certain materials and copying and regurgitating other people's shit. That's a small component of of um of what's really making our future timeline, because we're engrossed and we're enamored with the hype of how things look and sound, but we're not necessarily knowing the vendor. So if we don't know the vendor, we're gonna get like our quote unquote spiritual contract end quote. It could be a lemon, and it could be a lemon because you're being sold something regardless of the substance or the objects and the subjects within the contract. you're going to be sold something and it's only going to be good for so long. You're not necessarily going to have, a warranty. And if you do have a warranty, it's going to be pertained towards a certain detriment within a darkness, which is, the path to dissension. And the constructiveness within the range and the spectrum of constructive light, that's the path to the ascension on a middle path, balanced, logical level. So I just simplified on one casual level what real, modern, well-rounded, balanced ascension is, with using your mind as an ally or an ally. And I guess ally. Every friend is a new path, right? Every ally is an ally, and every ally is an ally. But this was just a quick one for y'all. And like, you know what, I do these videos because I don't really like, there's stuff not to really fucking care for. There's stuff not to really fucking dwell on, respectively. Like, if all of this is changing so fast within this time span and a time rate of increased acceleration, then why would any of, like, what would really matter within these passing days and moments as we're going towards our ever interchangeable perceptible future, as well as the ever interchangeable objectival future, which is that which is objectival proof how change is working and moving with us and the earth to create a fucking future where it's assessing every moment how we're decaying and how we're rebirthing, and ultimately how we're relating to that is how our body is going to respond to how it's going to rebirth and how it's going to die. So it's kind of like, there's different relevancies to use the aphorism, or the statement, or the something of like a ideology, laugh now, cry later. That can be used like pertinently and profoundly and significantly within the context of how it's being like projected as an aftermath concept within any, current societal narratives that there are. They're promoting it and selling it in such a way where that's what you're doing as a chemical mindset and as a psychological mindset, them being different, physical and, mental, emotional. That that's kind of like one of the curated elements in how you're gonna and how you're kind of quote unquote forced end quote to act. There's a next transition, there's a next game, there's an end game to how they want you to behave and act. And who's them? You know, on an esoteric mathematical level, that which is in the detriment that's within the lower octave of darkness, that has significant power within the Bhu Mandala. So I just simplified that. So I'm like, I'm like, I bring like one of the greatest simplicities, if you could read between the lines. But but the emotion and the mindset that's being curated within you and everybody else, and other mindsets, emotions that are being curated, is the element of, for you to laugh now, cry later, because you could, regardless of whenever you hear this, there's this subtle psychological mechanism that's already making you do this, but you don't realize the seriousness of the game, because it's not about like even playing victim anymore either. It's about seeing like where we got to and what is the situation at hand, because if you don't see that, then you're not going to see where you're ultimately going on the long term. And if you don't see where you're going on the long term, who's really to blame? It's the how we're ultimately allowing the parties that are in power on a collective level, how we're ultimately on a subtle to non-subtle level allowing that to be. That's who to like, on a neutral energetic level, to quote unquote point to, because they're the ultimate one. We're ultimately, to some level of ourselves, allowing them to make the decisions for us. And if we're allowing that decision to make for us on any level from any other, like, spiritual level, then we're ultimately to blame, and that's only more evidence and proof for us to take more accountability to our situations. Because, like, if we have all within this slight junction of a time window, of a slight sliver of a time window, if we have the anomaly to have more than what we need, and it's creating the future second by second, moment by moment, with everything that we're thinking, doing, moving, interacting, and choosing, then this is the ultimate time to not complain at all, because this is the time of the anomaly where everything is being given to us, and it's the ultimate critical factor in what's going to dictate your future, your family's future, your loved one's future, your constructive, assets future, all of it. It's all going to fall and lay down on your shoulders, because you've been given everything, and how you've been get to a fair respect and portion of your spiritual self, and how you choose to use everything will ultimately fall on you. Have the best life ever. 11 11.